Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my ranking of the 8 Best Picture nominees for the 2021 Academy Awards. As the Oscars continue to get closer and closer, it is time for our annual tradition of ranking all of the Best Picture nominees. Now, this was yet another year that fortunately I was able to see all 8 nominees before nominations were actually announced. The Father opened in my neck of the woods just in time for me to see it before those nominations were announced. But a bummer that we've unfortunately started to get used to is that we don't have 10 nominees. In a year that had so much great cinema, and we have several other films that got multiple nominations in the big categories, it's certainly a shame that we couldn't have filled this out to 10. But that's not for me to decide, and we have the nominees we have. So without further ado, I'm going to give you my personal ranking for the 8 films nominated. Coming in at number 8, I have Mank. Honestly, Mank just did not resonate with me personally. I thought it was very beautiful. It looked stunning. It was obviously a well-made film, but it was probably one of my least favorite David Fincher films to date. The performances were all good. The cinematography was gorgeous. The score was also beautiful, but that screenplay just drug on and on. The story itself just went way too long. It didn't have a good, interesting core to it. Our characters weren't really all that interesting either, and it made for quite the laborious viewing experience. This is easily, far and away, my least favorite of the nominees this year. Coming in at number 7, I have The Trial of the Chicago 7, the film from another fan favorite director, Aaron Sorkin. The Trial of the Chicago 7 was fine. It was fun. It gave you some energy. It came with like the snappy type of dialogue that Sorkin is so known for. And we have a great ensemble cast who all deliver stellar performances across the board. However, I think Aaron Sorkin went a little bit off the rails. If you will, I think he overwrote his screenplay. It was too manufactured. It never fell into a nice, natural rhythm. It never felt like authentic dialogue or people talking. And on top of that, I think Aaron Sorkin delivered really quite flat directing. I think the cinematography was very bland. And it ultimately just felt so sanitized and Hollywood that I enjoyed it while I watched it. I think the performances certainly do a lot to bring that entertainment value. But at the end of the day, it did just feel like a very sanitized Hollywood nice film that didn't quite reach the greatness that some of these other Best Picture nominees did for me. Coming in at number 6, I have The Father. So The Father was certainly one of the more emotional watches on this list. Anthony Hopkins delivers a stellar performance, as does Olivia Colman, and I think the directive choices were very strong. We experience the film in this nonlinear, unreliable narrator type of format that keeps the viewer really on your toes. I love that Florian disorients the audience and puts you into somewhat of the experience of someone who's going through Alzheimer's or dementia. And of course, some of these scenes are just gut-wrenching to watch. But as emotionally charged as the film is, I do think the format sent me a bit much into an actual whirlwind as a viewer, to where some of the other finer points didn't connect as hard as I would have liked them. Some of the story beats that we are working through with our main characters don't hit as hard because of the untraditional style in which this was presented. Coming in at number 5, I have Nomad Land. From the glorious director, Chloe Zhao, I think Nomad Land was a beautiful, small-scale, grand-looking film. Frances McDormand once again delivers a fantastic performance. I don't think she's capable, honestly, of delivering anything less. But this felt special because it just felt so authentic, it felt so real and lived in. And of course, Chloe works with non-actors. Now, personally, I don't think this is as good as The Writer was, and it's a shame that that film went so under the radar, but I'm glad she's getting the recognition here. But her ability to work with actual nomads, people who aren't actual actors, and create this narrative and beautiful story is a testament to what a stellar director Chloe is. The cinematography is absolutely stunning. I think the editing is minimal, but beautifully done and handled, and it shines a light on this growing community that doesn't really get a lot of attention overall in the news landscape. However, I think it drags a bit through several sections of the film where I don't think the character development and drive really holds up the slow pace that we continue on through. And a lot of the film kept me a bit at distance with our main character, which made it a little bit more tough to personally connect with the people in the film and leave that mega impression on me once I had watched it. But it's a beautiful film, and I'm certainly not mad that it's basically the lock right now to win Best Picture. Just not my own personal favorite. Coming in at number 4, I have Promising Young Woman. Now, this has been the one I have flip-flopped, waned back and forth the most on when it comes to these Best Picture nominees. But what I have not waned on is the fact that Carey Mulligan is fantastic in this film, possibly the best I have ever seen her. And that's saying a lot because Carey Mulligan has delivered a ton of fantastic performances in her career. However, she's able to really balance a delicate blend here of badass, sarcastic woman and hurt, vulnerable person working through trauma. And she does so beautifully. In addition, the cinematography and direction of this film from Emerald Fennell, amazing. The color palette, oh my gosh, it's to die for. The soundtrack is the best soundtrack of 2020 by a mile, and one of the best soundtracks we've gotten in ages. And I love the first 2 acts of this film. However, that third act falls apart just a bit for me. Now, I've come to terms with it a little bit more. I've accepted what happens, and I've accepted my own theory on why it happened. But I still don't love that we fall into this weird middle ground. I wish we had either played it a little bit more safe and typical, or we had gone even more daring and induced full-on anger. But as it is, Promising Young Woman is sleek, it's stylish, it's certainly one of the most entertaining films in this lineup, and definitely brings up a lot of issues that continually need to be discussed. Coming in at number 3, I have Judas and the Black Messiah. So I was finally able to see Judas and the Black Messiah at 2021 Sundance Film Festival, where it made its debut, if you will, before hitting HBO Max. And wow, what a gut punch of a film. First of all, both Lakeith Stanfield and Daniel Kaluuya deliver amazing performances. Now, they don't both deliver amazing supporting performances, but they're both fantastic in the film nonetheless. Plus, we have Dominique Fishback, who is amazing. All of our supporting cast really delivers. And I think the film handles this subject matter with deft hands. The screenplay is very strong, though not perfect, much like Promising Young Woman. And that second act loses its way as the film itself also tries to figure out who our main focus is and what it is we should be focusing on as a film. But the final act just took my breath away. That ending is undeniably impactful. And even as someone who, going into the film, knew the story and knew the outcome, they were able to craft the film itself in such an impactful way that kept me invested in both of our characters, kept me on the edge of my seat, and expertly balanced the show between the time in which we're representing the 1960s and how that it's still in effect here in the 2020s. So a beautiful film that I'm so happy got into this Best Picture race. Coming in at number 2, my runner-up position, I have Sound of Metal. I loved this film. First of all, Riz Ahmed is amazing in our lead role. Riz has become such a dependably great actor who has, for the most part, gone under the radar. And finally, he's getting his roses. He's getting that recognition for what a great actor he is. But then I was introduced to Paul Raci in the supporting role, who actually turns out to be the heart of this entire film. And the interactions that they have with each other are absolutely amazing. This heartfelt story of a man who's going through premature hearing loss is truly devastating. And even as someone who isn't experiencing that personally, you can't help but feel deep empathy for him as we move throughout. Plus, it's just a heartfelt story that really demonstrates the idea of the grass being greener. The direction is fantastic. The editing is absolutely amazing. The cinematography is beautiful. And of course, that sound design is out of this world. Absolutely amazing. The sound design takes on its own unique character within this story and actually elevates everything we see to a completely new level. Plus, that ending left my jaw on the floor. In a field of films that deal with so many unique and important topics, Sound of Metal was one of the ones that left me the most moved and impacted as I left my screening. So that means my number one favorite Best Picture nominee for 2021 is Minari. Now, this should not come as a surprise because if you watched my top 10 favorite films of 2020, my number one favorite film of the year was Minari. And I'm so glad it did not get snubbed come nomination morning because, well, these really small, quaint films about American immigrant experiences, yeah, that sounds like something the Academy would just glaze right over. But oh my gosh, what a beautiful experience this film presents. I have never seen a movie handle the American dream in this type of way, and of course, the American immigrant experience in such an authentic and beautiful fashion. It was just so immaculately handled, from the script to the directing. Lee Isaac Chung just killed it across the board with crafting this film. Not to mention, our cast is stellar. Steven Yeun also getting that love. Yes! Is so good in this beautifully contained, deep, and emotional performance. Oh, Alan Kim is the breakout star of award season, not only because he's absolutely adorable, but wow, he is amazing and stands up toe-to-toe with some wonderful adult performances. And then we have Yoon Young-jung, who is amazing as our grandma in this film. Oh, and all of it comes together for a highly entertaining, yet beautifully moving family story of an American family's struggle to achieve that dream, to achieve comfort, to achieve something of your own. Add to that this absolutely stunning musical score, the gorgeous cinematography, all leading up to this insanely moving final scene. I just sat staring at my computer as the screen went black, soaking in what that ending was, because it just ran me over like a freight train. Minari is beautiful. It's expertly made, from the screenplay to direction, from the cinematography to the score, editing. Everything about this film was perfect. And that is why Minari is my favorite film of the 2021 Best Picture nominees. So that is my ranking of all 8 Best Picture nominees. What did you think? Do you agree with my ranking? Do you disagree? Most importantly, though, I want to know your ranking. How would you rank the 8 Best Picture nominees? Leave your ranking either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. Also, if you liked this video, please hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on my latest videos, including all of my upcoming Oscars coverage. I love you all so much for your continued support. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.